Welcome to Smacky's Garage. Today we're going to be working on insulating our garage doors. So I bought these kits off Amazon that are supposed to do just that. So we're going to install these kits on the doors and see how well they perform. I have a thermal camera, so we're going to do one door and then we're going to look at what the performance difference is between the two and to see if we can actually see any change. So my plan is we're going to do the right door first, and then we'll wait for a nice hot day to see if there's any difference in temperature from door to door. And then I'll go ahead and I'll finish the second one up after we see if there's a difference or not. All right, let's go ahead and open this kit and look what's inside. So it's essentially supposed to be very simple to install, and we're gonna walk through the full installation here and how to do it. So it looks like we got some instructions, and then we have essentially a lot of these barrier panels that we're going to be putting on. So I think one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lay all these out just to get them flat, because they've been in this container for a while, and I think putting them on a flat surface is going to be easier when they've been sitting around for a while, outside of the package for a while. So it comes with this, and it also comes with these Stickums reach barrier, so it looks like double-sided tape, essentially. So you can see both doors are in the sun full time, and that door is as well, but we're not going to be doing that one. Maybe we can use that one or do that one later. But we're going to do this door over here first, and then we're going to do this one after we get some temperature measurements on it. So one of the things that I also installed with this door is, you can kind of see in the mirror, is there's one-sided, not glass, but vinyl, so that it rejects a lot of the heat. And it's actually made a decent difference in the room. You can see here it does a pretty good job. So one, it gives you privacy on it, and then the second part of it is it rejects more light. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to let these sit for a while, and then we're going to go ahead and try installing them. So one of the things I'm deciding to do as I put these on is I'm actually going to cover up the windows so that you cannot see through them. So being that I do a lot of recording and everything in here, I want to make sure that I can control the light. So having controlled light is better than having random light at some times a day. So there's sometimes I'm recording where you can see the sun directly coming in through that and shining off the cars and creating bad reflections. So I'm going to end up actually covering this entire door, and then we're going to see how well it performs that way, and we'll compare it to over here. So here's what the instructions look like for the reach barrier. Essentially, all you have to do is clean off your garage door and then use those double-sided sticky tape to put it on there. It says for the best performance, you want to leave a small gap, so you have an air gap between the insulation and the door. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to directly put it on the door. They suggest a 3/4 air space, but the way my garage door is set up, it's not that easy to do that, so I'm not going to end up doing it that way. So we're going to go ahead, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wipe down pretty much the entire door before we go ahead and we start installing it. Now, when I do this, I'm just going to end up using Windex for it. You know, my door is generally pretty clean, but what you need to make sure you do is make sure that whatever you're using doesn't leave like a greasy residue. And the goal is just to have it clean enough so wherever those sticky things are, they adhere. So I'm gonna go ahead, spray everything down, and then wipe it down. Okay, now I'm gonna give it some time to dry, just to make sure that everything is gonna adhere. Okay, now that everything's dry, I'm gonna place my first panel. So I got each one of these in the corner, and then I might end up doing some in other locations, just like in between the windows, to better hold it. So I'm gonna peel all these off, and we'll put the first panel up. And it's probably just standard double-sided tape. It looks like it's a foam-based. So I decided to start at the windows, work my way up. Okay, now the reason why, since I'm doing the windows, I'm starting here, is because I really don't want to have an edge that's overlapping like is going to happen here. I want to make sure that I can get it as close to as possible to being fully secured. So I'm gonna end up securing one here, one here. So I'm gonna have to add some more to do it, but I probably will use more foam than recommended just to make it stick a little bit easier. They say to use 4 per, but I'm gonna end up using more. So I might end up having to buy some more. And looking at it, it looks like it's just standard double-sided tape foam that they've had pre-cut or die cut for them. Now, if you're not doing the windows, I would definitely start up at the top, work your way down. I'm going to end up just using these, put it in location to block everything out. So this stuff cuts nice and easy with scissors, and since it has small divots on it already, you can actually just use those to line up exactly where you're cutting, so it makes things a lot easier. So I didn't need to use a straight edge, and you can see it's still pretty straight from where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to, actually want to see how it looks over here. This side needs to be a little bit bigger, probably just because of the placement of it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tape this one up. These are where I'm going to have to cut out and be smart around how I'm putting these together, but I can probably take it and trace. So now we're going to go ahead and do this one. All right, so we have pretty much some of the big pieces done. Now I'm going to go ahead and take care of the bottom, and then we'll fill in the centerpiece. All right, so I got pretty much everything done. You know, it came out pretty good. There's still a little bit of gaps in here by the windows, which I can take care of with some tape. But now the sun's setting, so I'm not gonna be able to get a good temperature reading on it. We're gonna wait for the next hot day, then we're gonna compare it against the door over there to see how much of a difference it actually made. Now, if we look at the outside, you know, it's livable. I mean, you can see it on the other side. You definitely can't see in the garage anymore. I'll have to decide long term if I like this on here or not. But at least for now, it'll give me a good reading of how cool or how much heat this will reject. But yeah, everything is now pretty well on there. You can see on the door, everything is completely covered. You know, I did have to use some extra tape that I had laying around here rather than what they gave me. Since I had to do so many small cuts in the center here, I ended up using a lot more tape than I expected, but I was able to just use some generic double-sided foam tape. Also, essentially what's left is this piece here, then this piece on the floor. Really wasn't much left after doing this full door. Now, one of the other things that I think it's important to look at is rolling the door up with these on it. Now you can completely do that. That works completely fine, but you might need to add some more foam and stickies to different locations to make sure everything moves smoothly. So you don't want it folding up as it's going up. I guess it can't hurt it, but I wanted to make sure that it stayed together. So when you look at it, you can still roll the doors up. Everything still seems fine. I've had it on the doors for about 2 to 3 weeks now, and even in the heat, everything's still holding together very well. All right, so it's finally hot enough that we can start checking the temperature of the doors. It's currently 91 degrees out, and the doors are directly in the sun, taking on heat. So let's go ahead, let's take a measurement on either side. All right, so the first thing I'm noticing is I'm definitely seeing a cooler trend on the right door than I am on the left door. Now you can see where the heat's coming through on the left door itself. And on the right door, you can still see some of the heat around where I put the foil on. So looking at it, just using this, it definitely looks like there has been an improvement in temperature, but we're gonna double check that by using thermocouples and making sure that there is a difference. All right, so we finally have that hot day that we're waiting for. We have our thermocouple reader down there, and we're measuring temperature in a few different locations. So first, I want to look at here. I'm measuring temperature on the other side of this panel and then on the other side of this foam. And there's almost a 4-degree temperature difference from inside on this panel to here. So it's showing about what we were seeing with the thermal camera, which is actually pretty good. If you think about it, we're talking about a 4-degree temperature difference across a 8 by, let's call it 7-foot door. So that's what, 56 square feet, 4-degree temperature difference, pretty good. Now the door does, they're also measuring temperature out here. So we have a thermocouple, we have a temperature measurement device here on the door, and then we have one up at the front of the garage that we're using to measure the temperature, to look at the change over time, and we'll take a look at those. But you can see 4-degree temperature difference with this. You know, I'm really happy with how that's working out. So these are actually making a good difference. Now here's the temperature readings from the garage and outside the garage. So that thermocouple that temperature measurement device that I had on the outside of the garage is this blue line here. And you can see directly in the sun, it's over 100 degrees. And the inside the garage, at the front of the garage, this is the temperature. So I was working in the garage all day, and no matter how hot it got, the garage still only peaked at around 72 degrees before it started dropping back down for the night. So in my mind, it made a big difference just having that one door changed. So yeah, while looking at it, there's definitely a large temperature difference in the garage. I can feel it, even though it's showing just a 4-degree temperature differential, which is still pretty large. There's a big difference in here. So the room is actually staying cooler. It's not heating up during the day. It stayed at pretty much 71 degrees all day today while I've been working in the garage, which is pretty much amazing seeing it's 80 plus degrees outside. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna finish this other door here and make sure that everything is kind of locked off. While I'm doing this, I also bought some new lights for the ceiling here to better light this area since these are gonna be closed off now. But I'm very happy with the insulation. It's doing a great job keeping this garage at temperature. It's also gonna help me a lot during the winter when I'm trying to keep the garage warm. So you're gonna get less temperature transfer through the doors, and overall, kind of a better temperature garage. Well, I guess that's it. Thanks for tuning into Smacky's Garage this week. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more car projects, if you want to see more garage projects. I'm going to go ahead and finish that door now. I'll see you next time.